McCarthy will not seek the speakership again. Now, sources telling me at this hour some House Republicans have been in contact with and have started an effort to draft former President Donald Trump to be the next speaker. And I have been told that President Trump might be open to helping the Republican Party, at least in the short term, if necessary, if it's needed. I've now heard from a number of people. I know for a fact Donald Trump has been contacted about possibly him being an interim speaker. Is that a reality?
I don't know. He'd be great, but I want Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States. If he wants to be speaker,
well,
great.
He would still. I'll be clear.
I want him to be president of the United States.
He's still run for president. He's still going to be running for president. All right.
That's where we need him, is at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. If he wants to be speaker, then that's fine too.
All right. Well, I think you do want to temporarily to.
You can't do them at the same time. You can't do them at the same time. I get that.
You probably could. All right.
First of all, you can almost hear the fear in Jim Jordan's voice as he has to pretend on national television that nominating Donald Trump to be the next Speaker of the House wouldn't be akin to lighting the fuse on a bottle rocket and then sitting on it. If for nothing else than the fact that I'm not entirely sure his schedule would permit it, considering the guy will be spending just about the next year inside of a courtroom. Even on the day that this insane idea was floated, Trump was in New York contending with a $250 million fraud case. And somehow, this one is actually the least of his prosecutorial worries. All of which is to say, maybe nominating a guy facing one criminal charge for every 5 members of Congress isn't the best idea legislatively speaking. There's also the additional issue brought up by Democratic Congressman Sean Casten that Trump literally can't serve as Speaker per the Republicans' own rules. Rule 26, temporary step aside of a member of leadership who is indicted. A member of the Republican leadership shall step aside if indicted for a felony for which a sentence of 2 or more years imprisonment may be imposed. And I gotta say, I'm actually pretty shocked that today's Republican Party would even include that rule, given their groveling fealty to a guy who commits crimes as easily as the rest of us breathe air. Maybe just a little hint for Republicans: if you're going to pledge loyalty to criminals, maybe don't pass rules enacting hurdles for criminals to serve. It'll just save us all the step of pretending that there's actually any integrity in the GOP. And granted, while a Trump speakership would objectively be an unmitigated disaster for the Republican Party, I guess we shouldn't be surprised then that certain Republicans are pushing full bore for exactly that. Far-right Texas Republican Troy Nehls has already announced that he'll nominate Trump when the speakership comes up for a vote, saying, "This week, when the U.S. House of Representatives reconvene, my first order of business will be to nominate Donald J. Trump for Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives. President Trump, the greatest president of my lifetime, has a proven record of putting America first and will make the House great again." And of course, who else would jump on board but Marjorie Taylor Greene, who said something on Twitter so patently absurd that it made me start doubting my own existence. "The only candidate for Speaker I am currently supporting is President Donald J. Trump. He will end the war in Ukraine, he will secure the border, he will end the politically weaponized government. He will make America energy independent again, he will pass my bill to stop transgender surgeries on kids and keep men out of women's sports, he will support our military and police, and so much more. He has a proven 4-year record as a President of the United States of America. He received a record number of Republican votes of any Republican presidential candidate. We can make him Speaker and then elect him President. We will make America great again." Now, obviously, I could spend the next 10 minutes debunking every single word she wrote, but to save you all the time and myself the blood pressure, I'll just focus on one single sentence. Quote, "He has a proven 4-year record as President of the United States." Let me just say this. Donald Trump presided over the most jobs lost of any president in modern American history. He presided over the highest unemployment rate of any president in modern American history. He presided over a country with 5% of the world's population and yet 20% of the world's COVID cases and deaths. He presided over the weakening of NATO while cozying up to dictators and autocrats like Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin and Jair Bolsonaro. And his sole legislative accomplishment was a tax cut for millionaires and billionaires while stringing the suckers who supported him along with promises of a middle-class tax cut that never materialized, a healthcare plan that was cheaper and more comprehensive that never materialized, and a new wall along the southern border paid for by Mexico that never materialized. Trump's 4-year record as president not only doesn't qualify him to be Speaker, it wouldn't qualify him to work drive-through. And look, Let's be honest here, this isn't going to happen. Green and these other Trump sycophants signed on to this idea publicly because they want to curry favor with the Trump base and shore up support for themselves. Maybe even use it to fundraise while continuing to squeeze the MAGA marks of every last nickel they can get out of them. But this is what the incentive structure is in today's Republican Party. It is about fame and attention and money and quite literally everything except governing. And don't take my word for it, take Republican Congressman Garrett Graves.
I keep wondering, what is going on? Are we redefining what conservative is? What's going on in this country today? What's going on in this body? Where you have Freedom Works, Heritage, Chip Roy, and Jim Jordan say something's conservative, and these folks say it's not, and they're right. And all of a sudden, my phone keeps sending text messages. Text messages saying, hey, give me money. Oh, look at that. Oh, look, give me money. I filed the motion to vacate. Using official actions to raise money. It's disgusting. It's what's disgusting about Washington.
When even other Republicans start acknowledging how backwards their own party's incentive structure is, one would think that would warrant some introspection. And yet, it was Matt Gaetz who succeeded here, not Kevin McCarthy. Meaning, yet again, the Overton window shifts in the Republican Party as the extremists and the crazies and the provocateurs win out. For as insane as today's GOP is, just know that today is the least insane that they'll ever be. It will only continue to get worse. Which is why it really doesn't matter whether Republicans nominate Donald Trump or Steve Scalise or Byron Donalds or any other member of the Republican conference, because the fact is that they will continue their sprint to the far right. The lesson they will take from this is that somehow they were being too moderate. Keeping the government open and functioning was somehow a betrayal of conservative values, which somewhere along the line meant that the government had to be steeped in dysfunction and extremism and paralysis. And so next time, regardless of who the speaker is, mark my words, they would faster let the government shudder than offer a single concession to Democrats. They will use any vehicle they can to shoehorn in a far-right extremist agenda that the vast majority of Americans oppose, even if it means hundreds of thousands of Americans will be without a paycheck, because their sole goal is to take hostages while trying to exact concessions. These people aren't elected officials, they are legislative terrorists. So I hope that people watching, left, right, or center, can see clearly what happens when Republicans take power. Remember that with the exact same margin that Republicans currently have, Democrats passed the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, the Infrastructure Package, the Gun Safety Law, the PACT Act, the Chips and Sciences Act, reauthorized the Violence Against Women Act, and codified marriage equality into federal law. With that same size majority, we are now a full year into a 2-year cycle, and Republicans still don't even have a speaker. I don't know how to make this any more clear. These people cannot be trusted to govern. You would have more luck lining up a litter of kittens for a photo than getting these people to effectively represent their constituents in the United States Congress. Remember this, there is nothing conservative about plunging our government into dysfunction. There's nothing conservative about taking your hard-earned tax dollars and spending it on the salaries of people who don't want to do their jobs. There is nothing conservative about rallying around criminals and felons and insurrectionists. If the GOP wants to continue down this path, which I have zero doubt that they will, then I hope the voters will give them exactly what they deserve, which is nothing less than permanent status in the minority. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.